Welcome to the Select Board's meeting of Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Please join the board in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Canty, would you read our executive session, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Select Board will hold an executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Clause 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the Chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. The executive session will be dealing with Holtec International, Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station, value of real property.
Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Make the motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Blutzer, second by Mr. Helm. Mr. Blutzer?
I vote yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes. The board shall be returning back to open session at approximately 6:30. Thank you. Of October 10th, 2023. We'll move on to licenses and administrative notes. There's no licenses. One administrative note. Comments or wish of the board?
I'd make a motion to approve the administrative note.
So I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blutzer. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Blutzer?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous. The next item is a human resources update. Welcome, Silvio.
Good evening. Thank you. Silvio Janal, Human Resources Director. I want to thank you for the opportunity for coming in front of you today to provide a quick update on the activities of our Human Resources Department. First off, I'd like to talk about improvements to our onboarding process. One of the first tasks that the town manager asked me to deal with when I started here was to update our onboarding packet. The packet is what we give folks after they've accepted an offer. We're trying to get them on board and sign them up for health insurance and get additional information, their immigration status to see if they're legal to work, et cetera, et cetera. So that packet, when I started working here, consisted of a 40-plus page PDF made up of copied forms that were so old that they were faded or grainy. Some of them weren't even centered. As the town manager said to me, this is the first interaction that a new employee has with the town of Plymouth. So it's very important to make a good first impression. So based on that, with the assistant of the assistant town manager, we were able to digitize this process and provide a more professional first impression to our new employees, for which we so far have received an amazing feedback. Another important topic where we have made improvements are our internal processes and forms. Some of our internal processes have also been digitized in order to be more efficient. An example of this is position requisitions, which departments use to request that a vacancy is filled. We used to have departments fill out a physical form, drop it off of HR, then I would review it, my staff would review it, I sign off of it, then it goes to another department, finance perhaps, and so forth and so on. And sometimes that process took weeks, to be honest with you. Not even days, sometimes weeks. So the departments will be reaching out to us, reaching out to finance, reaching out to other departments saying, where's my vacancy? What's going on with this? So one of the other things we did is update that process, and now we use a platform that's similar to DocuSign, if you're familiar with that, whereby a department can start the request digitally, sign the document, it goes to the next person in the chain, which is us, we review it digitally, goes to the next department in the chain, et cetera, and the whole thing can be done in a matter of hours. The whole process is, and then we can move forward filling the vacancy. Again, this took a process that sometimes took days to weeks to complete, to sometimes minutes. And more so in the climate that we're in today, that getting positions filled are so important. We heard what the departments had to say, not only what the town manager was saying, that feedback we were getting from new employees coming in, but also internally what departments were saying, we need to update our processes internally to be more competitive. An important landmark also of this past year was our health insurance agreement. Our team was very active in securing an unprecedented 6 years insurance coverage agreement with the Plymouth Public Employees Committee, a team that included you folks as select board members, representatives from the labor unions, the town manager's office, and human resources, was also able to sit down and over the course of a couple of months reach a fair and equitable agreement that saved the town money while preserving one of our biggest assets when it comes to recruiting and retaining staff, our benefits packet. I'd like to take the opportunity right now to thank everybody involved in these efforts, because this is going to serve as a great example of collaboration amongst all of those involved to the benefit of our employees. But lastly, and more importantly, is employee engagement. One of the first things that I heard from my coworkers in various departments when I started working here was how disengaged and disconnected they felt. This is a normal occurrence for organizations of the size of the town of Plymouth, and more so when departments are not housed in the same building. So to achieve the goal of bringing employees together and building a good team spirit, we started an employee engagement group that consists of employees from various departments, all the way from DPW, the library, the CAL, and departments that are not housed in Town Hall, as well as departments in Town Hall. With the assistance of the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce, the Town Hall became a stop on their annual trick-or-treat event with great success. Additionally, we also held a coffee social and cookie swap last December, with attendance by employees from all of the departments. These events help folks meet, learn about the work they do, network amongst the various departments, and create a sense of camaraderie that will help develop good relationships that are needed when trying to solve the problems in which we serve our residents. These are some of the landmark achievements of our department, which have only been possible due to the addition of a new staff member for the first time in over 20 years. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our management team and the town meeting for supporting an initiative to increase our staff, and to let you know that we remain committed to continuing expanding these efforts to improve our workplace environment. So, having said all of that, at this time I'd like to announce that I have taken a position with another municipality. This is a great professional opportunity for me that presented itself very recently, one that helps me continue in my desired career path, and one which would have not been possible had I not worked for the town of Plymouth in my current capacity. This is something that I'm very grateful for, the opportunity the town manager gave me to work in this position, and you folks and the trust that you put in me. I'd like to also thank the labor unions, all of which I work very closely with, and with whom I developed a good working relationship that helped us cordially assist so many of our employees in so many instances. But lastly, I'd like to thank my coworkers in all town departments, because you are the backbone of the organization and the ones who make things happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Silvio, I want to wish you the very best and say it's been also a pleasure working with you. And I've watched you work with us, our team, and bring the town closer together, and all the labor relations seem to be much better. I said it to John one night, it seems like things are quiet. When you sat on the board as many years as I have, it's usually not too quiet. So that tells me, where I sit, things are going good. The communication lines are open with management, and you're spending your time and your efforts on what you're supposed to be doing, is your jobs also. Derek's jobs, Brad's, everybody's. And I've seen a lot of change here in Town Hall from the building department, to our own fire personnel, police department. A lot of changes the last couple of years with technology, and it's nice to see a lot of the change. But, I'm sorry, very sorry to see you go, and I hope we can find a very good replacement, but your shoes are going to be hard to fill. I'm going to be right up front with you. And I want to keep it open so that whoever does come in, he or she can reach out to you, and I know you've mentioned it many times to me that you'd be available, and I also appreciate that. And you also say, and you didn't say tonight, that you still come to Plymouth for your haircuts. Correct?
That's right. Have been for about 5-6 years now, and that's not going to stop. So,
Well, that's good. So if I want to catch you, I can catch you at the local barber shop, right?
absolutely.
All
No,
right.
I've made a lot of good friendships here, a lot of good professional friendships here. So I'm always going to be available if anybody from the town calls. And I would also hope that they also take my call if I ever reach out to anybody, because, again, we're a pretty good team here. I feel very proud of the fact that I was given this opportunity, as I mentioned, because without it, I wouldn't have been able to get to the opportunity I have right now. So I'm always going to be grateful to the town, and I'm always going to be available as necessary.
Thank you. Charlie?
Sylvia, you're a very humble guy, and that's what I like about you. You're going to be missed. And I know you talked about a transition package, and I think that's something that you didn't say anything about it, but I think that's a fantastic thing that you're going to do, that you're going to leave a package for the next person that's coming in to take your place, of all the things that are going on. So it's going to make it easier for that person to transition into your position, and that's the sign of a class guy, because you still care about this town. And when you leave, I know you'll care about this town. So I want to thank you for all the residents in Plymouth, and for this board, for making us look good, with the unions, everything all the negotiations that got done with our new town manager, not the new town manager, Derek, I keep saying that, I'm sorry. And Brad, and it's like you said, you got a good team, and you're going to be missed, but I know you still care about us, and I just thank you.
Mr. Canty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Silvio, obviously, we'd be happy to return your calls after the mandatory 90-day shunning period for having the gall of leaving Plymouth to advance your career elsewhere. But I certainly wish you luck in your new endeavor. I know that it's an opportunity that you just couldn't pass up, and you're leaving because of the opportunity there rather than anything here. You've been very clear about that. I think you have had a tremendous impact here. I've only had a short time working with you on the board, but my prior role, I had the opportunity to work with you as well. I mean, you went to all those caucuses last cycle to make some big changes that are going to pay dividends to the town, not just the HR department, but the whole town for years to come. You've been an instrumental part of changing the relationship between town management and the unions. I think everybody at those tables had a part to play in that on both sides, but you were a big component of that, and I think that's what Plymouth really needs, is more collaboration and less combativeness. There's obviously going to be things that we disagree on. That's the nature of the beast, but at least we can focus on those few issues of genuine disagreement rather than everything being the Third World War. So I definitely appreciate your role in that. I do question your judgment driving so far to get a haircut in Plymouth, driving past like about 40 different salons or hairdressers, but I'll forgive you that oversight, because I think otherwise you've really done a tremendous job here, and I thank you for your time. And you will be missed.
Thank you. Mr. Mahoney?
Yeah, so, Silvio, Plymouth's loss is Wellfleet's gain. I just want to congratulate you on your new job. Echoing what Mr. Canty just said, I know what you're not leaving because of anything that occurred here. You're improving your position, and not only that, but you're improving your quality of life and building a resume and looking to take that next step. And I would never criticize anybody for doing that. Kevin was referring to a 90-day shunning period. We've seen this in the media over the last couple of decades since I've been involved. In other communities, you see a town admin or a town manager. It comes out publicly that they then declared a finalist in another community, and you've seen elected officials annihilate those people, and it's completely unwarranted. I would never do that because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for yourself, and that's exactly what you're doing. Congratulations.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. And while I know the town clerk's in the audience, and there's been a lot of improvement in the town clerk's office, so I don't I mentioned certain departments, and I said, wow, there's a lot of departments in this building that made an improvement, so let's just say everybody's improved equally. It's been very nice. Before I get in trouble. All right. Anyone wishing to speak on a public comment? Mr. Weber? Well, we're getting there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Dale Weber. My comments tonight will be on behalf of the Collective Bargaining Relief Association with the acronym of COBRA. And before I start, I just want to say that the issues that I'll be talking about kind of piggyback on the issues you just heard, but they also pale in comparison to what's going on in the Middle East, and I just wanted to acknowledge that thank goodness we're not going through things like they're going through over in Israel. And please just accept my comments as probably not properly timed given everything that's going on over there, but they need to be said anyway. Having said that, some of the more seasoned people in the audience or on the dais here may remember Paul, and I just drew a blank, Paul Harvey from Radio Talk back in the day, who always would start his show with, and now the rest of the story. So, having said that, I kind of thought from last week's meeting, Town Manager Brindisi was talking about Silvio coming in and talking about issues, and I thought that Silvio may be talking about the subject that I'm going to be talking about every time I get near one of these microphones in the next 6, 8, 9 months, and that's recruitment and retention of employees. Silvio is just one example, and Mr. Mahoney said what Mr. Mahoney said about Silvio leaving. Unfortunately, a lot of our employees are doing that across the spectrum, from the front line, boots on the ground, grunts, all the way up to administration. And we need to do something about that in collaboration with each other. I do thank Mr. Brindisi for allowing Mr. Brothers and Mr. Janal to work with us, and we meet regularly, and we discuss issues before they become issues. And so far that's worked out fantastically. I'm very appreciative of that. But the bottom line still remains that, and I went to the file today, I've got a pretty good file system on behalf of COBRA, and I went back 43 years to find out, looking at seniority lists of the groups that we represent, and we still today, even though we're short, currently we're unable to recruit about a dozen positions collectively. And even when we do recruit, we cannot retain. And those are the key words I want to keep repeating, recruitment and retention, because it's really become somewhat of a pandemic here in Plymouth, because everyone has now referred to Plymouth as a training ground. And I've heard that in all groups where I travel, whether it be the laborers in the trenches or the upper administrations on the town or the school side. People identify with Plymouth the fact that if you can work in Plymouth, you can work anywhere. And basically, people let you come in and meet with them and discuss your terms and conditions of employment up to and including your benefit package. So, how does that relate to Plymouth? The issue is this. Over the last 40 years that I've been involved in negotiations and labor management issues, we've seen reductions in our recruitment tools. I guess I can just encapsulate those recruitment tools in the manner of saying they are the benefit package that builds up. That also includes compensation. So when you look at the whole package and you look at the changes that have been made in the 40 years that I can speak directly to, those changes have been made at the local level, they've been made at the state level, and they've been made at the federal level. But all those changes have diminished the recruitment ability based on the benefit package that Plymouth offers that has lumped us into the 75th percentile of all the other 351 communities in the Commonwealth. So our ability to recruit employees is now that of the 75th percentile of all the other communities. At one point, Plymouth used to be near the top, near the 98th percentile. There were two communities constantly above us. Those were Cambridge, Arlington, and I think for a little portion, Brookline. Those are the communities that used to smoke us on benefits and pay. Over the last 40 years, Plymouth has diminished its benefits and not kept pace with its compensation. Other communities have also diminished their benefits, but have increased their compensation. I want to say thank you to this board and the management team for recently, in the last round of contract negotiations, we thought we did the right thing by increasing our compensation levels to an issue that would help us recruit and retain employees. Unfortunately, we were mistaken. Myself and Vice President Machado was with me this evening, and we're both somewhat taken aback by the fact that despite the gains that we made in the recent collective bargaining negotiation cycles, we are not able to retain employees. Part of that is due to state and federal changes that have been made to our benefit packages in the form of pension reform and in the form of health insurance changes. So I guess suffice it to say that I'm here tonight just to issue you this feeling that we need to do more. And I don't want to pick on Mr. Janau. He knows how I've referred to the package of him leaving. And it's that other communities they get it. Other communities now know they need to fatten the bait on the hook, and they steal our employees. This is happening all over, but it's happening to us, and we really care about the United States of Plymouth. We don't look at the global issues. Well, at least I don't. My counterpart sitting in the audience, he's constantly monitoring the world stage on this. What I'm saying to you is we're not attracting and recruiting and retaining employees. And that causes a detriment to our service to the taxpayer, our service to the taxpayers in the schools. And I'm not speaking for other groups. They can speak for themselves, and I hope that they follow me and do that. But I know that if you look at the revolving door, it just doesn't happen in the groups that COBRA represents. It happens in the groups that are all over this town, on both the town and the school side. We need to collaboratively come up with a formula to increase the bait that we use And I think that the only thing left for us to do, because we've already given concessions over the 40 years to a point where we now know for fact that we're not keeping employees or even recruiting employees based on our benefit package. We need to sweeten the pot on the compensation package. So as we sit down and do our math, our finance department and everything else, I'm saying look at the equation of recruitment and retention over compensation and no concessions, and maybe we'll get there. If you divide the compensation into the recruitment and retention, maybe we'll get to a place. But it's a buy-in, and it's a buy-in that us as employees or retirees or just average taxpayers in Plymouth, they have to have a buy-in. And I see that as a difficult road. But the people that are responsible for budgeting and forecasting all need to be on the same page. I don't know if we'll get there, but I hope for the sake of Plymouth's services that are provided, that the taxpayers are demanding, can improve. And I hope we can get there. And I'm hoping that through collaboration, and again, thank you to the town manager, assistant town manager, human resources, for collaboration that we have that exists right now. I hope that it can only continue, but I also hope that they can learn a few things about fishing and maybe baiting the hook a little bit stronger. So those are my comments tonight, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. Machado? You have 3 minutes, Mr. Machado. Mr. Weber, a little longer. That's all right.
I'm just here briefly to echo what Dale said. And one of the things that a lot of you on the board probably don't see is that right now 70% of the Department of Public Works has 10 years or less. Okay. The top 15 guys in the DPW will probably be gone in the next 5 years. Unfortunately, the new generation, I don't know, millennials, Gen Z, what they call them, they'll probably have 5 to 8 different places that they work in their careers. The lifetime employees are no longer that. These are all just people that use these as training grounds, as Dale said. And Derek, you can echo that. I'm sure you know that the average person, even in a management position, is only going to last 5 to 8 years. Unfortunately, in a management position, that is expected. But in these type of positions with cities and towns and all of the licenses and qualifications that most of our members need, that's where it becomes a problem to fill their shoes. And so what Dale is saying is that it's not for us because we're not going to be here. Dale wasn't here for the last round of negotiations to financially benefit from that. It's something we do for our members and for the community because, quite frankly, it's getting more and more difficult. And we have nice equipment in this town for the most part. It's good equipment. I mean, some of it needs to be replaced, and we know that that's a process, but for the most part, it's good, decent equipment. The problem is we don't have anybody to run it. That's where the problem is. We're short 2 or 3 heavy equipment operators just in the highway. We have 3 truck drivers in the highway. With the highway department, we have 3 truck drivers, 1 maintenance man. The guy probably scratches his head every day trying to put a crew together. By the time you add vacation time, sick time, and guys out doing their other jobs, there's nobody left. That's what we're up against, guys. We're short a lot of people in the Department of Public Works. And unfortunately, all you have to do right now is drive around town and take a look. The roads aren't brushed back. Roads aren't mowed. You got tree limbs hanging all over these intersections. Bus drivers calling us from our other union that we represent, which is the private sector. And I will say we do not have a problem recruiting and retaining there because they are the highest paid drivers or one of the highest paid bus drivers in the Commonwealth. But at the end of the day, just ride around town. It's not because the guys that we represent don't want to do the work. It's because either they're not being offered to come in to do the work on overtime, or it just isn't getting done. But I welcome you to drive around town and look at all the roads that need to be mowed and brushed back. Go up 44, Charlie, you go up that road. Go down by you, Dickie, we finally got there. Finally got there the other day, but we ain't done with the industrial park. We're not done with Commerce Way. That was done on a Saturday morning. My guys could be out there every afternoon working to get these roads brushed back, because if we get any kind of snow and these tree branches come down, we know what's going to happen.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment? Town managers report.
Sure. So if I could say a few words before I talk about my report. So I can appreciate what Mr. Weber and Mr. Machado both have said. As I reported last week, I attended a listening session with the Lieutenant Governor, and there were a number of town managers and mayors at this forum to talk to the Lieutenant Governor directly about some of the challenges that municipalities face. The number one issue at the time was about procurement and the challenges of the procurement law. The second issue, as I reported last week, was recruitment and retention. And so this issue about recruitment and retention is not a Plymouth problem. It's certainly a statewide problem, and I would probably say it's a national problem. And I'm sure many of you, and even in the private industry, you'll talk to your colleagues, and you have the same issues you're facing with trying to recruit folks to work for your businesses. So it's not an excuse. We do want to continue to work with the unions on how we can shore up our forces. We think over the past 12 to 18 months between Silvio and Brad, we've started to mend those fences with the unions. At least we hope we have, and I think I've heard that this evening. So we'll continue to do that as best we can, and looking forward to ideas from the unions as to what we can do to continue to recruit and retain. But it's not going to be solved in 1 year, may not even be solved in one collective bargaining agreement, but we'll continue to work forward on that. And as far as Silvio's departure, I look back, and when I had left in 2017 as the assistant town manager to take on a career opportunity in Upton to be a town manager, one thing, putting aside my work in town, that struck me was the last week in which I served the town of Plymouth, where everybody talks about all the great work that you did, and they were sorry to see you go. And unfortunately, no one says thank you along the way. And so, Silvio, I appreciate everything that you have done for the town. I wish our time together was a little bit longer because of your track record of success in the past 15 months. But he has done an amazing job, and I think everybody here recognizes that. And I would say that the department over that period of time has achieved so much in that very short window of time versus other longer periods of time. So thank you, Silvio, for everything you've done for the town, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch someday when you're a town manager. We'll continue to network in Boston in January. So again, thank you. As far as my town manager report, I just wanted to report out on a couple of things. I'll make it quick. As you know, we have an article that's going to town meeting in October for a sum of money to extend the pier. And we've already put that project out to bid because we want to be very clear when we go to town meeting as to what the true cost would be for that pier extension. So on October 19th, we're going to open those bids, and so we'll have a solid number to go to town meeting to seek those dollars. Stevens Field has officially started. Stevens Field is officially closed. So we're hoping that we'll reopen on July of 2024. But as of right now, the contractor has mobilized, and they have started to do the work that I think everybody's been anticipating for the last decade or so. Some DPW updates. The Management Pressure Zone project will be starting. We've already sent out 200 notices to the abutters, and the first area they're going to work on is the White Horse Road area. The Bartlett Road Bridge project bid opening is October 19th as well, so we'll keep you posted on that. Lee Hartman reported today that they have completed a draft housing production plan. This is a very important conversation. We're always talking about housing, more affordable housing. They received over 680 survey responses as they constructed this housing production plan. The next step will go, he's going to bring this to the Affordable Housing Trust for vetting. And then once that's complete, we've talked about having another joint planning board and select board meeting to talk about this housing production plan. Once we have that joint meeting, then it'll be a final document. But we wanted to get a draft document in front of the two boards first. And then the last thing I will just mention, just because there's some folks who are asking questions, the town was notified approximately 2 weeks ago that the state has made a decision to relocate some migrants here in the town of Plymouth. This isn't anything new, as we talked about last October of 2022. We had a number of families, migrant families, relocate here in town, and they've been occupying one of our local hotels for the better part of a year now. So that operation has expanded just a little bit to a second hotel here in town, and it's going to be managed by the Army National Guard primarily. To date, we have approximately 36 adults and 29 children. So this is, again, a state operation. We are working directly with the state on this operation. They keep us informed as to what their processes are and will be. And so we'll continue to keep the community posted as to the evolution of this crisis throughout the state. It's impacting almost every municipality that has hotels and or motels. And so we are not immune to that. But they've been great we've been working with them as a host community, and quite frankly, the migrant families have been great to this community. So we welcome them all with open arms. Thank you, and I'll hold there for any questions.
Derek, I had a question from a resident that wanted to know about schooling of the migrants. Now, if they speak a different language, it's the school department. I think the answer is yes, but I don't want to answer without asking. I actually referred them to the school department, but do you know, oh, maybe Brad knows that answer too.
Yeah, we have ESL programs that they would be right into. Yep, so they'd be, it's not guaranteed that the language is offered, but under ESL, the teacher works with them and learns basic day-to-day stuff.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay.
I would say that we haven't been informed of a strain on the school system. However, Brad and I both received an email last week from the library director looking to expand their ESL program. And their primary source of the strain is the influx of migrants. So they're doing everything that they can do as far as adults and trying to teach them English as well. So we're looking at various potential resources that we could go after to help expand that program up at the library.
I just want to comment back on the theme of the whole evening tonight, and I know I've spoken with you about it briefly, succession planning. And I know we got town meeting coming up and you're not fully staffed, but maybe after you are fully staffed after town meeting, you could put something together and we can all have a discussion and see whether it's the planning department, because that's a main concern for me. And I don't want to put names out there, but that department as well as others. So there's a 1 and a 2 basically in each department. So if one leaves, we do have somebody to take their spot meantime and to keep the town running smooth as we can. So that's something I'd really like to see. So I know there's a lot on your plate right now. It doesn't have to be now, but maybe even after the holidays, just as long as we get it going and something we can all discuss.
Yeah, no, as the board pointed out in our goal-setting session back in August, succession planning, I think, you, Mr. Chairman, continue to bring this up. So it's on our radar. We know that we have a number of impending retirements. I think the town was lucky over the last decade to have consistency from at least the administration level. Many of those folks are now at the end of their careers. So they began 10, 15 years ago as department heads, and they were able to string out a really nice career, but they're at the end of their careers. They met their obligations to them and their families, and they're ready to retire. So we're just going through a change right now with folks retiring and folks who have found other opportunities during their career path. So succession planning will be extremely important conversation at the April town meeting, preparing for the FY25 budget. Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the town manager's report? New business? Letters? It's not really letters. We got a response from American Cruise Lines. I'd like to put that on for next week in executive session. If we
Absolutely.
can, and have the concerned parties there, management, harbor master.
Yep.
Anything under old business? Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adjourn for the evening, having concluded our business.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Have a nice week. Let's pray for peace. We'll see you next week.